us around that time right here on KAZ Radio, where we have those two crazy guys, none other than Don and Mike, with We've Got Issues. Take it away, gentlemen.
Welcome to We've Got Issues.
Welcome to the show with my co-host and Mike Stitz and Duran Freeman. Good to see you guys. Hope you guys had a good week last week.
Very good.
I want to thank everybody for listening in. And before we get the show started, let's get the show started the right way in prayer. Thank you for today, Heavenly Father. We always ask that you complete the work that you've begun in each of us. Let us see as you see and do as you say. Amen.
Amen.
All right, just get right to it. We got a couple of topics to cover that we think are national, local, and also national, local, and of course topics that we think are important to each and every one of us. Before we get started, Mike, what's your issue this week?
I've been stuck on the Senate Judiciary hearings to confirm the next SCOTUS, the Supreme Court judge. So I have a lot of unreadiness.
Okay.
For Mr. Kavanaugh.
Okay.
I think that it's anytime there are allegations that they need to be investigated fully, whether, I don't care what side you're on, this guy is going to be in charge of making decisions that will impact people, and he's going to be in that position for the rest of his life. This isn't a job he retires from.
Right.
So
as long as being president.
Right. I mean, I have some unreadiness about the whole investigation that was done, and this guy's character, and I don't care how long it was. Bill Cosby just went to jail for something that happened 40 plus years ago. Excellent. So over something that was sealed.
Yes.
Was the only evidence that they used. So we have 3 people that have come out, and for them not to talk to all the people that were that they said could corroborate their stories, I think that's an injustice.
It is. We're going to delve a little bit more deeper into that because I don't think we can just open that up as a
regular,
as a
right.
5-second issue to move on. Duran, what's your issue this week?
My issue is, I don't know, we talked about the Catholic, the priest.
A few shows ago, yeah.
A few shows ago.
Mm-hmm. And they still haven't went away, so you're right.
Yeah, it hasn't went away because we have one here, an investigation in Cleveland, and they were talking about putting all the priests on the list.
Are these the priests who are molesting? These are Cleveland priests?
Actually, these are the Cleveland priests, not the Pennsylvania priests.
So it's about priests here, they're going into
an investigation all over.
Oh, wow.
This is like the 4th out of 6 of the diocese. This is the 4th in Cleveland, but unlike in Pennsylvania, the findings of Mason was investigating the whole thing.
Okay.
But unlike Pennsylvania, the priests' names were never made public here because a lawyer hired by a bishop.
By the diocese, basically.
The diocese, he threatened to sue Mason's office if it released the files to the media. So.
Wow. Do you think those files should be released?
Police Court Judge Corrigan ruled that documents must remain secret to protect the secrecy of the grand jury process. But that's either here or there. I think if that happened and they're convicted or whatever, you can't keep something like that under wraps. I mean, I don't care. You can't make an excuse for it. These children were involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't sweep that under the rug and don't bring out the names. It's being politically correct. You got to throw that out the window now.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I didn't know they were doing that in Cleveland in terms of starting an investigation. Did you know about that, Mike?
No, but I think I kind of agree with their names being kept private until they are convicted.
Okay.
And at that point, then all bets are off. It's public.
Okay.
You do want to protect that that process.
Okay. My issue this week was and I know it may sound a little crass. You know how I feel about Big Brother and that kind of thing. My issue was the alert system that hit all of our phones this week. I didn't think that was something that was needed. Listen, I know it's going to sound crazy here, and I really don't mean it in a funny way, but I do mean it in a funny way. I tried to call Amber and tell her not to alert me anymore. I don't need that. So I'm just saying, but but I mean, for everybody's 225 million Americans' phone went off at 2:18 just a couple of days ago, and I personally feel that is why. I mean, we've got the emergency broadcast system, right? Right?
Right.
We've got the emergency broadcast system, which has been working for years. I mean, they stop your TV and bam, 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 and this is just a test.
Right.
And now it has to come through your phones. I thought it was a complete invasion of privacy. I didn't see the sense of it, and I have an issue with that. The second issue that I have with is also going back to Kavanaugh as well. But I just thought that, I mean, in the office, everybody's phone went off at the same time. I don't see the reason why we had to do that. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
I think it was ordered by the president.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But which is anything he's saying we don't need to do. So,
And I guess his the reasoning behind it is so that he could alert all of us if we were going to war.
doesn't he do that with a tweet?
Yeah, I mean,
I had an issue with that because I thought it was just an invasion.
yeah, I've never seen that done before, so
No.
it's kind of strange that it's going on now.
Yeah, and then my second issue, I'm sorry, I have to finish it up with this. That's one. The second one is the 50-cent hike. Right now they're paying upwards of $3 a gallon for gas. In the next 3 months, our gas will be $3 and higher, so get used to it. That is going to happen. I don't understand why, because we do get 90% of our gas from, or our oil, if you want, from Alaska, Canada, and Mexico. So, and there's no wars going on in Alaska, Canada, or Mexico. So what's the holdup on raising the prices of oil? So I have an issue with that as well. But let's keep moving on. We were talking about that Supreme Court confirmation. Mike, I wanted to ask you and Duran, do you guys think that this confirmation is a little too quick? They're trying to push the vote through by this coming Friday or Saturday. And then on top of that, do you think that, like you mentioned earlier, Mike, do you think that it should be more time? Do you think that this guy should get confirmed from what you've heard so far? And I want to ask you the same thing, Duran.
Well, and my thing is, in light of the allegations that have come out, and this process has been very long. I mean, we're talking close to 3 months now, if not more. But in light of the allegations that came out of, from Dr. Ford and the other ladies on sexual misconduct, somebody's lying.
Yeah.
Why she would put herself in that situation where she has had to move, has had death threats to her family, why someone would put themselves through that, just doesn't make sense.
If they weren't telling the
Right.
truth.
And then, his reaction to the questioning was very harsh.
Yeah, he was getting real belligerent.
So that to me
And
speaks
defensive.
to his character. I mean,
And he's a judge already.
Yeah, you're supposed to have the right temperament to be a judge,
Yeah.
and he didn't show it in the hearings. And they say, well, he was grilled with questions for a couple of hours or 3 or 4 hours. That's what happens when you get confirmed as a Supreme Court
Sounds like an
justice.
interview to me.
Right. I mean, that's what happened. If you can't take that, then how can you say you're qualified to be a Supreme Court justice? I don't understand.
I agree with that. What do you think? Was it too quick? This confirmation?
I think it was too quick, but I think it's becoming, we're going down that road again. I think it's becoming a racial divide here.
Okay.
I think it's like, because we see what happened with the Cosby situation. It might be a little different, apples and oranges, because of the way it happened, but I don't think they're doing as a thorough investigation that's going to last for months and months like Cosby's was. And
And I don't think it should, but I think that you have to investigate, and you have to investigate everyone who's involved, and that involves questioning. So if he has a problem with it, he shouldn't have done what he did. If he did it, and if
He
you're
was a little
innocent,
belligerent when they.
and
Yeah, he was getting
that's right.
defensive too. Yeah, he was.
But
yeah.
if you're innocent, and you know in your heart that you never did these things that were alleged, then why not push for an investigation yourself? You know, because if you didn't do it, it ain't gonna come up.
There you go. What's understood don't need to be said.
Right.
That's right. That's right. Hey, both of those are great takes too, guys. We also want to encourage everybody. You know, and today is October 4th. 30 plus days away. November 6th is the opportunity for us to vote for our governor here in the state of Ohio. We have Mike DeWine on the Republican end, and we have Richard Cordray on the Democratic end. In terms of that, we want to encourage everybody. Monday is the last day where you can actually register to vote in the state of Ohio, to vote in the election. So we want to encourage everybody to get out and register, and
right.
after that, get out to vote.
That's right. You know, it's a shame that a lot of people just feel like the presidential election is the most important election, but on the state level and on the local level, those elections are equally important, if not more important.
Yeah.
You know, and I just encourage everybody, if you're 18 and over, you know, go make sure you're registered, make sure you know where you got to go poll. If you can, do early voting.
Do it.
You know what? You don't want to arrive at the poll and they say something's wrong with your ID, or they come up with some reason why you can't vote, and then your vote is lost.
Yeah.
So this is a very important election for Ohio and across the country, throughout the country. There are several states that are having these elections, and let's get out and vote, y'all. Let's exercise our right.
Absolutely.
You know, people died so that we could have the right to vote, and I think it's real important that we honor them by going out to vote.
And we just got an opportunity to vote. The U.S. Voting Rights Act was passed in 1964. So it hasn't been a long time if you really break it down to the time where our vote actually counted for one. And all the stuff like Mike alluded to, people have died for that. It behooves us to get out and do that. So we at the radio show, we encourage everybody, if you're not registered, you have until October 9th and November 6th, please get out and vote, make your voice heard. Again, Richard Cordray for the Democrats and Mike DeWine for the Republicans.
And there are also some issues out there that you know, here's the thing, when you vote, you got to research. You got to research your candidates, you got to research the issues, and you got to know what you're voting for. Don't just go into the booth and just cast a vote. Know what you're voting for and who you're voting for. And make the decision based on your heart, you know, and based on the knowledge that you've done by researching.
Right. And, you know, Duran, you know, speaking of that, one of the top issues for us at the show is voting yes on issue 1. Obviously, the name of our show is We've Got Issues, so we would be remiss if we did not support at least one issue. This particular issue, Duran and Mike, is an issue that pertains to a person getting arrested who may have a drug problem or a mental health problem. As opposed to sending them directly to jail, they will now be offered, and they'll be part of the system where they can go to rehab or go get the help that they need. What do you think of that? Would you vote yes on issue 1?
I would vote yes on that because
Absolutely.
come on, it's taxpaying dollars. All these people are incarcerated for these little petty crimes.
Yep.
There's not enough institutions and help for people out here now. And for one reason or another.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would vote yes.
Yeah. So we encourage you guys to vote yes on issue 1. I mean, at the end of the day, that's where your taxpayer money should be going to. It should be going to, because if you keep somebody incarcerated, Mike, at the end of the day, when you let them out, they should be, and if they're not supposed to be there to begin with, you should get them the help that they need. Do you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. You know, the prison system in America is just out of touch with what's really going on, and I think it needs to be revamped, just changed completely. We have people that are rotting in jails that shouldn't be there, and you know, unfortunately, a lot of times it affects the black and brown folks.
No doubt.
You know,
no doubt.
Not to say that some of my white brothers and sisters aren't incarcerated, because they are as well, but it affects poor people and minorities the most.
Those with the least ability to pay and everything else. And, you know, one of the things, just to touch on that, guys, particularly this particular reformation or reforming that they're doing, they've done this in Franklin, Hamilton, and Lucas counties, which is Franklin is Columbus, Hamilton is Cincinnati, and Lucas is Toledo. Well, now what they're doing and what they're saying is that what they're doing is they're going to start in those 3 counties. They're giving personal bonds for minor stuff like a driving under suspension or a possession of a minor misdemeanor type drug, whether it's marijuana or even if you had
A bondable offense.
a bondable offense. Yeah, a billable offense. And so it's much better as opposed to putting that person in jail. And I think that these particular changes have not been adopted in Cuyahoga County as of yet.
Right. And you know, the medical science world thinks that you know, when you're abusing drugs, it's a disease. Yeah, and I agree with them. So if it is disease, do we put people in jail for having cancer or for
Very good point.
That's a good
You
point.
know,
Very
for
good
other
point.
illnesses, diabetes, or you know, what are we doing where we don't allow people to get some help and we send them in jail to be incarcerated? Now, you know, there are people that are in jail that need to be there.
No doubt.
No doubt.
No doubt. We know a few. We know a few. We're glad they're there.
And some of them were, you know, drug offenses, and
Right.
they need to be there.
They need to be there.
But there are a lot of people who, you know, minor drug offenses, first-time drug offenses, and they're sitting in jail just basically because they don't have the money to pay for a good lawyer that can get them out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
And
so-
that got to be wiped out.
Yeah.
That has to be wiped out.
Those
Yeah.
little petty crimes, little
Right.
things, little
I mean,
offenses.
But if you think about it, you know, money rules the world. It definitely rules America, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
so if you got the money, you can pay to get off. And if you don't have the money, you don't have the money, you get to stay in.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it boils down to, and that's why prison reform is so important, and it should be an issue that's talked about more.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that that there has to be some changes in that big time. I mean, and the fact of the matter is, we shouldn't even have to talk about this already. This has been going on way before we've been on the air.
Right.
Decades before we
yeah.
was even born. I mean, this has been going on for. You mentioned Emmett Till before we came on the air. I mean, this stuff has been going on for a long, long time. So yeah, we want to see that happen as well. I was also mentioning they were talking about. You know, we all went to school, right? We all went to school. And I was talking with a friend of mine, and we were talking about this particular friend is a teacher at a high school that was just taken over by the state. And this is East Cleveland school system and several other schools. What do you guys think about the government or the state involving themselves in taking over in the school? When they took over this particular school system, not even East Cleveland, they had an F, right? They took them over, they got a F again. So the state took over and they still got the same grade. Do you think that is it the teacher's job, is it the government's job to run these schools like this, or does it start at home?
It starts at home. I mean, but that's the problem. We don't have a way to rectify the way we run the schools and pertaining to what the children are taught at home.
Yeah.
Because there is no way to know what this child needs. You never know, you know. And in the states, I couldn't say if the state should take it over because it's been too short of a period to know the results.
To know the
But
results, yeah.
That's interesting. I always said it starts at home.
Yeah.
But I tell you, a lot of children just going to school because you know all of us done went to school
Right.
under all kind of circumstances.
Yeah.
And everything else, and sometimes you have to even battle before you get to school.
Right.
I mean,
You know, here's the thing.
And you're a teacher, so you would. Yeah, I
you
want to
know,
hear your take. That's why I want to hear your
I
take.
taught for 5 years in the public school system, and here's the thing: you can always trace it back to money.
Okay.
You go to some of these districts that are affluent,
Yes.
and they have the resources, they have the technology,
Yep.
they have new books.
Sound
they
like the
have
$6 million man. We got the
computers
research, we got the
for
technology.
every student, you know, and then you go into some of these inner city schools, and they are using 20, 30-year-old books. They have maybe 1 or 2 computers in the classroom that, you know, a classroom of 20 or 30 kids have to share. They've taken the power from the teacher's hands and put it into the student's
The
hands.
student's hands?
And
What were you
so
gonna
when
say?
you have that problem,
I was gonna say now,
You know,
all
it's
of
a-
us,
it's a
I
big
think
problem.
you
It
went
is a
through
big
that
problem.
too.
You're absolutely right.
We-
And you saw it firsthand.
That problem was supposed to have been rectified when we had the busing. Now they bust us in 1979. Now you know what schools we're going to.
Right.
Instead of me going to a school that had better equipment and everything, they bust me right across town from John Adams to John A. I mean,
Wow, what is that, like 2 minutes away? Like a mile?
right. I
what's
go
the
either
difference?
walk both ways. We used to walk to school sometimes.
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
what I'm saying is it never solved the problem. You still had these schools.
Yeah.
Your school.
well, and-
Ignatius,
and,
what-
and you know, when they were busing, the students weren't the only ones being bused.
No.
The teachers as well.
Teachers were being
Never
bused
thought of it
as
that
well,
from that
you
perspective.
know.
Mike, where's the lotto money going, man? All this lotto money is supposed to be going to the schools. I heard teachers, and I'm sure
yeah,
you,
the
I'm
same
sure
tax
you,
money.
yeah, I'm sure you were a guy who would, if you would take money out of your pocket and go buy stuff, supplies or
Absolutely.
stuff for the school. I mean,
Absolutely.
to me, where's the lotto money going? I mean, that's what they said when they bought this lotto out, when they took the numbers business out of the community. 'Cause I
Well-
grew up with the numbers man in the clearinghouse, right?
You gotta look at the big
When they
execs
took that out, what
moderators.
happened with that? It's not going to the schools.
Oh, it's going, but
They're building them, but they're not.
well, no, it's going to the schools. But what's happening is the percentage of the money
It's going.
and it's a very
That's
small
a very small percentage.
It's like one for
And
me and
that's-
one for Uncle Jack.
And
Right,
see-
right,
and
right.
see,
Good point.
When they took the lottery and legalized it or did whatever they did to make it more accessible to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
that was what they used to sell it.
Yeah.
You know, but you got to look at the small print sometimes.
Mm-hmm,
You know, and the small print said that only a certain percentage of the lottery is going to go to the education. So.
I don't understand. I think that it does start at home.
Yes, it does.
Mike, you from a teacher standpoint, thank you for that. And Duran, you're absolutely right about the busing standpoint of it. I just think that that's another thing. At the end of the day, guys, this is the next generation, right?
Exactly.
I mean, this is the next generation.
Well, let me tell you a story real quick. I
Okay.
was speaking to a friend of mine whose daughter is a freshman at Cornell University.
Ivy League. Isn't that where Alpha Phi
Very
was from?
smart. I don't know.
Yes, it was.
one of those.
December 4th, 1906, Cornell
one of those
University.
HWUs.
A5.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
But so she, straight A student, she spent her time when she was in high school. She would get out of school, they would drop her off at Starbucks, and she would study from the time she got to Starbucks until the time Starbucks closed. Straight A's, 4.0. So a friend of hers that she met one summer when she went to Cornell to visit was from an affluent district, and she got into Harvard. And
Another.
so
No,
she was
yeah.
a year older. So when she went to write her admission paper, you know how you write a paper to get into college, the girl from Harvard said, well, let me help you write it. And she put things in the paper that the other girl with the 4.0 never even thought about.
Oh, wow.
And that's basically because they've had so many, or some kids have so many resources available to them that, you know, kids in inner city schools don't even see.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so
It's a very good point.
it makes them, you know, a lot of them are starting at a disadvantage to begin with. So,
Yeah, I understand that.
you know, it needs to be more equitable. It needs
does.
to be across the
Shows in
board.
athletics too.
It shows, yeah, you're right. There's a
You go out
guidance
of
counselor.
state.
Yeah, a friend of mine is a guidance counselor. Let's say this. This is a high school on the east side of Cleveland, and this particular guidance counselor was a guidance counselor for probably 30 years. And this person now has is a director of nursing here in Cleveland. But that particular guidance counselor told her she should be a secretary. Told the other guy, who is now he is a director of mergers and acquisitions for one of the big banks here in Cleveland, told him that he should be a janitor. So my point I'm making is it also starts with the people that you look up to from that guidance counselor perspective, and they're guiding and counseling you, but into that to what they want you to do. So I understand
yeah.
what you said.
Oh, yeah. My
Having availability of resources is huge.
I mean, my own sister was a straight A student from kindergarten through 12th. Straight A's. And the counselor at her school said that she should become a secretary.
Probably the same guidance counselor that she had.
And my sister now has her PhD and is on the path to become a president of a university. So You know,
That's what I'm talking about.
Sometimes you gotta say, huh?
Right. Yeah, we did that on the last
And
show.
keep it moving. You
Yeah.
know, all advice ain't good advice.
Right. What did our parents tell us when we were growing up? Go to school. Go to school. Go
Exactly.
to school. Go to school.
But
Go to school.
that's the point where you just said our parents. How many of us can say we had parents
Oh, no.
in the household?
That's true. Yeah, yeah. How many of us had parents in the household? Yeah, I mean, two-parent households, if
Yeah,
anything.
two-parent household.
Two-parent
Right.
household. Yeah,
Right.
that is almost a rarity in today's world.
That makes a big difference.
It makes a
also.
huge difference.
Yeah, I know. I
That's
was
a good point.
blessed.
Yeah.
I had two parents and a grandma.
Right. yeah. And
Could do no wrong.
look
know?
how you turned out. Right.
Yep.
You had the village right there in the house.
Yep. And my parents were very active in my education. They, my father, 3-term president of the PTO.
Wow.
My mom volunteered in the schools where we went. So you know,
Wow.
I as a result, and they stress education. So as a result, I was a good student.
Yeah.
You know, until I did some other things, but
And you just still end up
That's
being a
another
teacher, still up
story.
being a teacher and getting his MBA. So it's all good.
That's
Go
what
ahead.
I was getting at, though. A lot of us didn't have, but you know, there's a few exceptions to the rule that
Yeah.
still, you know, go to school and they know what to expect when they go to school. You got to be in the know.
Yeah.
Somebody either pulls your coach. You might have a
Man.
family member who's a valedictorian or
Right.
went to school, went to college to know it.
absolutely.
That's-
But then
that
you
helps you.
might not have anybody. That you might
That's
have
right.
someone to, and then the school board and everyone there, when you come to class, they kind of stereotype you. They they know your backgrounds most of the time. But just running the schools, it's hard because you got so many different walks of life coming
Yeah.
into
That's
those.
right.
And I
That's
think
right.
a lot of times students think that once they go to the next grade level, that it starts over for them.
Yeah.
That they
Yes.
got a fresh slate, and
Yeah.
that's not true.
Yeah.
Your records follow you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't stress that enough. Couldn't stress that enough when I was teaching that. Listen, what you do today is going to follow you.
That's right.
A lot of times for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with the decisions you make, the actions you do, and be careful to guard that resume.
Yeah.
Because your character means a lot. Your integrity means a lot. And when you're that young, you don't understand that.
Right.
You don't understand that dynamic, and so yeah, you're right. It does follow you. The things you did in 4th grade, I knew about when you got to 5th grade.
right. Oh, yeah. One of the things that's a great take on that, both of you guys, and I just wanted to stress that because, I don't know what it means. When we were growing up, it was the SAT and the ACT, and we never got in a realm of education where the system was so bad that the state had to take it over. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like that. I can't remember taking standardized tests like they're doing, these proficiency tests. And if you got good grades, why you even got to take the test? I don't know what that means. I'm just trying to. That's what I was trying to
we
get
took
around it.
them. I mean, I don't think they carried the weight that
They didn't carry the weight. Yeah.
And then if you remember back then, you had so many schools. A teacher was just in front of maybe 15, 20 students.
Say it.
Now they're 50, 40 kids
Yeah.
in a class, and you have one little student that could disrupt the whole
Whole
class,
thing,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't do nothing
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, that's what happens though when you have certain schools that close.
Yeah.
Those kids got to
A
go
lot of them
somewhere.
close.
Yeah.
And so you're starting to jam kids.
Yeah.
I taught at a school that had 900 plus students, and it was built for 500 students.
Wow.
So I had a class of 5th graders that one of my periods had like 36 kids in the classroom.
That's a lot in the classroom.
I mean, of 5th graders
Of
that
fifth-
were
wow.
just as big or bigger than me.
Wow.
So classroom management is important, but it's hard to manage when you have that many to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I bow down to teachers because they have a hard job.
Are they underpaid, Mike?
They're
Oh,
man.
yes.
It's the most underpaid profession in the country.
I think it is too. I don't
Most
think you can put
underpaid.
enough money
and,
on it
And think about it. They're the ones that's teaching the doctors, lawyers, accountants,
of tomorrow.
the businessmen, the bankers. They're teaching them. How can they not be paid more?
They should be making NBA money, NFL money.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
For real, you can't put a
Right.
price on it. I mean,
It's the love of the job.
Yeah.
I love teaching, and I love seeing that light bulb come on
And just seeing
on the
progress.
students.
and seeing
Yeah.
progress. Yeah,
Students.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. And
wow,
if you only can
that-
reach
that
one,
has to
yeah.
feel
Right.
good.
That has to
I
feel
can see how
good,
you
yeah.
look.
But
Yeah.
when you were talking about, and we were talking about earlier about what follows a student, their grades follow them as well. So you get you know, when I start the school year off, I'm looking at all their records, and I'm saying, okay, this student is, we're going into 5th grade, and I have 22 students in my classroom. That's what I'm supposed to have, but I actually have 30. Out of those 30, 10 are reading at a 3rd grade level. 5 are reading at a 4th grade level. 6 are reading at a 2nd grade level, and 2nd grade level, and it goes like that. I have very few that are at the 5th grade level. So now it's my job to bring those kids who are underperforming. I can't in a year bring them up to that 5th grade level if they're starting at a 2nd grade.
Yeah.
I can bring them maybe to a 3rd grade level or
But not
third grade and a half.
Yeah.
You know, but
You're teaching 3 different types of people in one
right.
classroom
and
for a whole
you have
year.
to manage it.
And you have to manage it.
That's the job.
That's a very good point because most people don't know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's an excellent point. So that's an issue that we can always revisit and come
Right.
back to.
Right.
Yeah, but
I mean, that's one that's near and dear to my heart too, because I definitely believe in equity in the classroom. You know,
No doubt.
Let's share the wealth, y'all. I mean,
No doubt.
Let's give everybody the resources that everyone else has, and let's see how we do.
I mean, you know, Mike, we talked about this 10
Even
years.
playing
We
field.
talked about this
Yeah.
10 years ago when we were talking about the equal the playing field. When you talk about education and healthcare, to me, personally, education should be free, and healthcare should be free because you have a healthier student and a smarter student.
Right.
Now you got a smarter country, right? That's what I'm trying to say. It really just, if we're all, listen, do they take taxes out your money when you get paid? They take our money off the top, right?
Absolutely.
So come on. If I'm paying into the system, I have a say. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
And so that
should.
a closed mouth don't get fed in that regard.
You made perfect sense when you said that. If you have everyone educated, and then that'll stop all of this racial divide.
Yes.
Oh, I did it. No,
I mean, the
that's
smarter,
like-
the smarter your country and the healthier your country, I don't even have to say anything from that.
Yeah.
You're going to have a
And-
healthier
and-
country and a smarter country.
And let's say this too: it's not black and white anymore.
No.
It's really rich poor.
Yeah, it
You
is.
know,
It's the
that's-
haves and the
that's
have-nots.
the crux of
It's
the
a caste
problem.
system.
That's the
It's a
crux of
caste
the
system
problem,
almost, yeah, it is. Education is something, though, that can put you into that other side
Yeah.
and have the brains enough that once you get there, come back and get somebody else
Right,
and take them with you.
exactly, yeah.
That's what it really comes down to also. I want to talk about, you guys have your driver's license, right? Everybody drives, right?
I do.
Okay. Do you know that we were looking at a thing where I wanted to bring this up last week too, guys, and I want to get your take on this particular issue. You know, there's 7.4 million people in the state of Ohio, right? And 1 million of them are driving under suspension of driving age. That's 1.1 million people. That's a lot of people, right? 1.1 million people. We are second in the nation with people driving under the suspension. And I'm not of ticketing people who drive under suspension. And I'm not talking about, New York City has 11 million people. We got more people driving under suspension. Detroit has more people. Philly has more people. Dallas has more people. Houston has more people. But we have more people that are driving under suspension, 1.1 million people. Do you think there needs to be some reform there?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I guess it's a case by case, situation that you have to look at.
Okay, so you're speeding, you get a ticket. You get a ticket for doing 70 and a 65. Okay, for doing 70 and a 55. You get the ticket. You're on your way on your first day to your new job. This is the story. This is where I got this story from. You're on your first day to your new job. You're running a little bit late, which you shouldn't be running a little bit late on your first day. But here we go. You get the ticket, right? Lets you go, writes a ticket. You ain't got paid yet, right? So you get the ticket, and something happens and you lose the job or whatever. Now your license is suspended and you can't afford to pay the ticket. And you need your card to get another job or to get around in general. So now you're going to get your license suspended because you didn't pay the ticket and you didn't go to court or whatever. That's really, it's not like these people are looking to get ticketed for driving, to get ticketed that way.
But I think that's a lot of times that's lack of knowledge,
Okay.
and that's not an excuse.
Okay.
If you don't know, you don't know, but you got to take care of your business. You get a ticket and you don't go to court, you can't plead your case.
Yeah.
At least if you show up,
Yeah.
you can say, hey, I'm
This is
in
what
between
happened.
jobs. I was on my way to my first day of the job. I got this ticket. I wound up losing that job. Now I can't pay for the ticket. I'm looking for employment. Something, and maybe there's something available to them that they didn't know about. But if you don't show up, if you take that stance of, well, I just ain't going,
Well, that's a different
You
animal.
know, that's
yeah.
a different
Yeah.
thing. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are like that. though.
What's your
Yeah,
take?
but I think my take on it is they coming up with these different laws now. I mean, like, I'll give you an example. You get audited. Everyone in the state of Ohio gets audited if you don't have insurance at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this is just a random audit. This is
They just send the letters out saying, send back
okay.
proof of it. Yes, the
Now,
letter, yeah.
just like in my case, suppose you move, you got mail coming to your old address
Before they go to the other
before
end.
they go, before they done suspended your license or what have you.
I just got one of those.
Yeah, I did also.
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting at.
Right.
Yeah.
I got a ticket. I'm thinking it's a ticket. I'm like, oh well, I'll pay my community off.
Right. right.
But wait a minute, your license is suspended. I'm looking like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I got a letter that said if you don't respond to this within a certain
Yes.
We're going to suspend your license.
you can get your
Your
license will
license
be
will be-
suspended. And I called them and I said, what?
Right.
When that came out,
I had the same attitude.
because I've never received anything like that before.
Yeah,
my
that's like the
life.
alert we
It's
got
one
the
of
other
those
day.
New, like
Yeah.
you said, if
Right.
you're not in the know and you.
Right.
Right. And
But-
and then they say it's random.
It
You know,
is
for
random.
It's random in the black community.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, I don't know about that.
I'm
but
just saying,
I-
both y'all brothers and y'all
I
got
would
that
like
letter.
to, I would like to see how that random selection is done.
Played out, yeah.
You never will see it.
Let me
That's
say
the
this:
thing.
Right.
Ohio is second in the country for ticketing people driving under suspension. There are several police departments in other states, other parts of Ohio, and here's where it is. In the area of Dayton, Cincinnati, out of this 1.1 million people who are driving under suspension, the police departments in those 9 counties account for 466,000 tickets written for driving under suspension. Wow. In a 9-county area. So when I say 9 counties, I'm thinking like Summit. If you think here, Summit, Ashtabula, Geauga Lake, we got 8 or 9 counties around us. So imagine that little area where Dayton, Cincinnati, they've written 466,000 people in that little area there are driving under suspension. Now, that's something to me that just seems, and in that area, 78% of them are black. I'm just reading numbers that are absolutely, this is all facts here, guys. And here's the thing. This is low income. This is low income. This is not people in affluent areas can pay that ticket and have time to show up for court, or their dad and mom might even be an attorney to even represent them. Right. How can you, here's the thing. You just got this is the story. You got a new job, right? Okay, I got the new job, I got the ticket, right? I can't miss a day on the new job in the first, 80, 90 days of employment. It's gonna make me look bad. And if I say I gotta go to court to my boss, that's gonna make me look bad too, so I'm not gonna show up. That's really the rationale too. That's another side of it as well.
I mean, that is, but is that right?
No, it's
That's
not.
It's not right. It's not right, but sometimes you
But that's the rationale behind
Hey,
it, right?
listen, y'all listening to We've Got
Got
Issues.
Issues.
Make sure you give us a call. Let us know how you feel about the issues we're discussing. 216-298-1554. That's 216-298-1554. Call us, y'all. We want to hear what you think about our issues.
No doubt. Getting back, I'll leave that alone. I just think that we've touched on some issues, whether it be the school systems, whether it be the Supreme Court confirmation, whether it be the bail bond prison system for petty crimes. These are issues, guys, that are important to all of us, and there's somebody in your family or someone that you know that is affected by these issues as well. So please don't hesitate to give us a call. Again, I want to go back to November 6th very quickly. November 6th is, of course, to vote. And I was just thinking, we're talking about the schools. They call these the midterm elections, right? Right. Back in the day, I used to remember when Voinovich, who was an OU grad, I voted for Voinovich. Or then you got Dick Celeste from back in the day. And then we've got, we used to really know our governors, didn't we? James Rhodes, dude. I mean, we used to know our governors. I mean, really, I don't know a lot about Cordray. I got to do my homework. I don't know a lot about DeWine. Got to do my homework. So I was looking today, guys. 39%, if the election was today, 39% will be voting for DeWine, 38% for Cordray, and here's the big thing: 23% undecided. Now, when you do your due diligence, like you said, and like you mentioned, if that person's a Democrat and that person's a Republican, but their issues are in alignment with what you're saying. Say DeWine on healthcare, I like the way he speaks about that. DeWine on education, I like the way he's talking about that. DeWine on tax cuts for the middle class, I like the way he's doing that. But he's a Republican. Do you still vote for somebody, since we've been sort of ingrained, I don't want to say ingrained, but we've been in a thought process to vote Democratic. But if that particular candidate aligns with your issues, do you vote for him?
Yes, I say yes.
Okay.
Well, I think it's a bigger issue.
Okay.
And you're right. If you were raised in a Republican family, more than likely you're going to vote
Hey,
Republican.
Abraham Lincoln was a Republican.
And
He
if
would have
you're
my vote.
raised in a Democratic family, more than likely you're going to vote Democrat. Here's my issue.
Okay.
Is that the Democrats and the Republicans have historically not looked out for any black or brown people.
Say that again.
They have not. I don't care.
Historically. Which is all the time.
They may put some programs together.
Band-Aids.
And it seems to me that a lot of times these politicians are running on a platform, and then when they get into office, the platform totally changes.
Oh, no doubt.
So I don't know who to trust. It's gotten to the point now where they say that they're going to do certain things. And let's take the POTUS. He said that he was going to build a wall, right?
Right.
That the Mexicans would pay for.
Right.
Yeah.
The wall is being built,
Yes.
but they're not paying for it.
We are.
We don't hear about that.
And and here's the thing. Don't you know that these guys, look at El Chapo when they caught him. Didn't he go underground?
Right.
They're going to go under the wall anyway, so
The
what are you
fence
doing?
needs to be underground, not
Right.
above.
Right. Go ahead.
What you just said, Mike, it kind of, I think that kind of makes a reason for a lot of people that don't vote. We're encouraging everyone to vote.
Well-
but then you got people, you looking here and you looking over here at this left-hand issue. There's just, there's not too much to read from.
But you know what though? That's the reason to vote. Because if you don't vote, you don't get the opportunity to say anything.
Yeah.
I don't, like for instance, and he's near and dear to my heart, Colin Kaepernick. He did not vote. You don't get to complain if you don't vote.
Nothing you can say.
So and the fact that he has this issue and then didn't vote,
Oh, man.
that's just crazy to me.
Yeah. I got it. I have a story like that.
You want to exercise your right to vote so that these people who are doing the line, you vote them out of office.
There you
just
go.
as quick as you
And
vote
what's
them
the
in
incumbent
office.
rate, Mike? Once they get in, the incumbent rate is like 90%. Go ahead.
Right.
They don't get voted out.
Right.
Okay. I got a quick one for you. Here's a reason to vote if you have never voted, particularly just from a local level. If you look at the east side of Cleveland, everybody, all of these police precincts are in black neighborhoods. Well, that vote came up in 1969, 1970. I remember like it was yesterday. The turnout was 0.7%. Did you hear me? Now you ask me. Let me ask you today. Where's the black police stations? In all of the black neighborhoods. Am I correct?
Correct.
Please get out and vote. Okay? I'm just saying. If we would have voted, listen. What? I don't know what else to tell you. There's a lot of other neighborhoods where these police precincts could have been. They're all right there in black neighborhoods because we did not vote. And that's real.
To take it a bit farther,
Yes, sir.
just really quick. You have how many people would you say, you Mike, you Don, that really understand the issues that we're talking, and how many on a percentage-wise of everyone who understands what they're voting for and the arguments between both parties? Or, I would say myself, I would say maybe 75, 78% of the voters really understand the issues and what they're voting for.
You think
And
they do?
You said they do or
I
don't?
say they do.
They do.
Oh.
But then you have another, like these other, they're just going along with either brought up by the family, like you said, by the family.
And voting
they're-
again, yeah.
That's their party is by what they were brought up.
Let's keep it real.
believing in.
You are right.
Well, I'll say this. I agree with you, except I don't think that number is that high.
Me neither.
I think it's
lower than that.
I think it's lower.
It's like
than that.
25% and 75% the other way. Yeah.
And
That's a great point, bro.
And I'm
That's a
guilty
great
as
point.
well,
Yeah.
of going in there not doing my research and picking up the Democratic ticket or whatever
And
ticket
voting
I
straight
wanted to
across.
vote for and just
Yeah,
voting straight
Obama's
across.
voting here, so I'm voting straight to hold Democratic
I'll tell
ticket.
you this though, since this is what President Obama has done for me, is that he's gotten me to be awake today. So that I take the time and I do the research. I look at those issues and I figure out what way I want to vote. I don't just go into that booth blind and not knowing what I'm going to vote for. I really and truly will do the research now, look up those candidates, look up their stances on whatever issues their platform.
Which is all public record.
Right, and I got to make an informed. That way, I can make an informed decision. And I think that's what we should be encouraging is
Due
making
diligence.
informed decisions.
Informed decisions.
Do
Wow.
your research, and then we also should publicize more where to find that research.
Yeah.
Because some people
think that's a
want to
big-
do the
Yeah.
research, but they don't know
They
where to
don't know
go
where
to
to
look for
They
it.
don't know where to
Yeah,
go.
and there's the
look
Board
for
of
it. They're not
Elections
in the know.
downtown. That's a
Right,
good
don't
place
know
to
where
start.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly
I think
right.
that these are all so the issues we are doing tonight currently are issues that frankly we could do virtually almost every show with a
Absolutely.
15-minute segment just to
Yeah.
touch on on
Right.
the progress of them.
Right.
Because by the time we come back next week, guys, we will have a new Supreme Court justice, whether we want him or
Hopefully
not.
not, but-
Hopefully not, but what's the track record? You know what I mean? So, with all that said, we touched on any other issues you guys want to touch on before I turn it over to sports? 'Cause I want to talk about some sports now. There's got only about 15 minutes left in the show. No?
I don't have another
Okay,
issue.
I have one more, and my vote is that my issue is this. I was going to touch on these lies about Donald Trump's financial records, but you guys can all see that for yourself.
What do you mean?
Well, Trump was making $200,000 a year when he was 3 years old. Don't believe me? Read the New York Times. The New York Times put out a scathing article on Tuesday where Trump was making $200,000 when he was 3 years old, and he was a millionaire when he was 8. How do you do that? He's not Doogie Howser or a little genius, is he?
Definitely
He
not
said he
that.
took $1 million loan from his father, and that's what he used that to become the billionaire that he
At
is
3?
today. Period. He's making $200,000 a year when he was 3. He was a millionaire at 8. So why do you even need the loan? Point I'm making is his father gave him 60 points. He was still getting an allowance from his father up until his late 50s. I don't even know what to say there. But so that's a whole nother issue we can go back into. We can do a 3-hour show on President Trump
yeah.
without even blinking an eye.
yeah.
But I want to go ahead and talk about something a little bit more issue related. Even though we try to do national stuff here, we can't help it if we have a great baseball team that's about to go to they're playing Houston, right, coming up.
Houston Astros.
We got to give it up for the
tomorrow
Indians,
at
people.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock in Houston.
In Houston tomorrow?
Yes, and you know Houston very well. You taught in Houston for 5 years. You
I
know
did.
Houston very
I
well.
did.
So,
Keuchel's pitching against Kluber.
Kluber, okay, KK.
Keuchel's,
Yeah,
you gotta-
I thought it was Verlander.
Oh, yeah, Verlander.
I thought it was Verlander and Kluber. So
I
let
was
me.
thinking about Keuchel
you know,
in that last game against our rookie.
Mike, we talked about this and talked about some other ridiculous conspiracy theory stuff before we get into this real quickly. The Indians were virtually the second best team in baseball last year. They had swept Houston in their regular season 7-0 last year.
Yeah.
However, there was Hurricane, or what was it, Harvey? Right?
forget what the name. It was a
Harvey, the
hurricane.
disaster where they flooded all of Houston. Right?
They're coming so quick, I forget the name.
So we had to. So there's some conspiracy theorists that believe that it was a little rigged so that Houston could take their mind off of it, and they won the World Series. And I'm just saying. So that's just
Just
my.
like who that the New Orleans.
Just like
back in
just like the Patriots.
New
As long
Orleans
as
won after Katrina.
yes, as long as New Orleans went after Katrina, and listen, as long as we are in Afghanistan, the Patriots are going to be there. How can you have a team? Or even a part of the United States that's called the New England Patriots when New England ain't even not even part of the United States, really. You got anyway. Don't get me started. But that's another conspiracy theory. So the Indians play tomorrow.
Well, they're called the New England States.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so-
They used to be the Boston Patriots, though, dude.
To
Right.
me, they're
Yeah.
still the Boston Patriots.
Come on now. Come on now. So
I
that's
wasn't alive then. So.
yeah. So that's just my little. That's like my little conspiracy. That's my little theory on that. Wherever the
You guys
disaster.
are a lot older than me.
Whatever.
You remember
That's
the
where the
Boston
disaster is.
Patriots?
Yeah, whatever, man. That's okay. So hold on, when I'm 100, he'll be 97. I mean, come on, bro. Come on. Yeah. Come on now. All I can say is we were both at the legal age. At the league, so I'm 21, you're 18. Come on. But so let's go. So Durant, I know that you have a little bit. You know a little bit. You know a lot about the sports. You're our sports guy. What's your take on the Indians this year, and how far do you think they'll go?
Wow, I tell you what, the Indians have a well-rounded team.
They've been good
like
for a
Houston.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah, we got 1 through 5. I mean, you're going through the batting order. You got Lindor.
He had 37
Yeah, you
homers
got-
and had 108 RBIs batted in from the leadoff spot.
Okay, now just picture you got Lindor there, and he's gonna make a pitcher work.
Right?
Then you got Ramirez. He's like a same here. They fell off a little bit, but I tell you what.
He's second in the
pitchers
majors
look
in
at
home
these
runs, though.
guys.
He's
Yeah,
second in the majors in home runs.
in home
Yeah.
runs. Then you got Brantley. He'll
Who's a
stand
beast.
up and look at the ball all day.
You better throw a strike.
Well, if you don't throw a strike, he'll just. And when you throw a strike, he'll make you pay for it.
Exactly.
I mean, a pitcher is going to throw about from between 30 and 40 pitches on the first 3 innings.
And then Encarnacion comes off the bench,
Yeah.
takes a little thing of tobacco in his mouth, spits it out, comes up and hits a home
And
run,
we
and goes
just
back and
picked up
sits down.
Donaldson
Yeah.
from the free agency. Donaldson's been an all-star.
Yeah, we definitely got a
Power
solid
hitter.
team.
We've been there the last 5 years under the rock. I think the Indians are almost really the most underrated team in Cleveland over
And
the
they're-
last 4 or
they're-
5 years.
Yeah, they're behind in the Browns. This is a Browns town, like we always mention. But the Indians, we got to give
we gotta get behind them.
Indians because
They haven't sold out to Jake except for maybe 2 or 3 times this year. If they're getting 23,000, they're happy. But the Jake Ho's 43. I remember back in the day, guys, the Indians weren't even that as good as they are now, even though they had a big roster and a strong roster with Bill, Tommy, and all those guys. Listen, they sold out the whole season in like 3 hours. These guys haven't sold out the season, haven't sold
how
out.
many was there? Like 455 sellouts.
Yeah, in a row. Yeah.
that.
They haven't. The Indians should be. They
That's
should be getting the
what
same kind of love. So support our Indians. Mike, what do you think they're going to do?
I think we're going to the show.
Think we're going to the show?
We're going to the dance.
You're going to the dance.
We got them. We got them guys out east. Them doggone Sox and
Yeah.
and
do the
Yankees. Let them battle it out.
Yeah, let them battle it
and
out.
then we'll take care of them after they're done.
That's right. Yeah.
I'll tell you, if our relief pitching holds up, I see us playing.
And we got to hit.
Yeah.
Hit that ball.
Yeah, we've been hitting. You got to rock the Indian. We got to get some Indians gear up here. Next show we got to put some Indian stuff on. We always have the Brown stuff,
Yeah, I
IndyCar
tell you
stuff.
what, it's gonna be rocking around this weekend.
Yeah,
We-
I mean it's 4 teams left, man.
Man,
What is it?
man.
4, 8 teams left. So well, it's going to be it's Boston and the Yankees,
Boston
and us in
Yankees,
Houston.
Indians in Houston.
Right,
Then
okay.
you got LA
Dodgers.
and Atlanta
Okay.
Dodgers and
and
the Braves.
Colorado.
Yeah.
And Milwaukee.
And the Brewers, that's right, the Brewers. Okay, so we'll
Oh,
see
the
how it
Cubs
plays.
aren't in it?
No, they
No,
lost. They
the
lost the
Cubs
wild
got
card.
knocked
They
out
got
by
knocked out.
Milwaukee.
They got
Oh.
knocked out in the
Won
wild
the
card.
playoff game.
Yeah, that was a great. That was
Oh.
extra
Yeah.
innings and everything. Yeah, that was a great game.
Couldn't have happened to a better team.
No doubt, man. No doubt. No doubt. I
Especially
mean,
since they beat us when we were injured.
and we had them 3-1.
Yeah, and the Cubs were injured. No, they had a lot of injuries this
Yeah.
year.
And they had
But,
108 years
the
of not
Indians
winning
did
it.
last year, and we still made it to the show.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
We did. So now, so let's move forward. That good luck, Tribe. Go Tribe. Everybody get out and support
Go
the Indians
Tribe.
because right now they're at the pinnacle. The Cavs can hope to get where the Indians are in terms of this, and so can the Browns. So right now the Indians are already doing what we want the Browns and the Cavs to do. Right?
Exactly.
So go Tribe,
Go
from
Tribe.
We've Got Issues. Let's move forward. Speaking about the NBA season coming up, that I was reticent initially when I saw national TV on TNT. Everybody earlier this week, the Boston Celtics versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we won.
Yes, we
Even though
did.
it's only preseason,
Yeah.
they look good.
And LeBron took a peek at the game when I was trying to.
I wish I was back there. I wish I was back there. Yeah, because they're looking good. So, what's your take on the Cavs for this season, Mike and Duran?
Wow. The king is gone.
The king is gone.
So
Sound like.
I think they'll be a middle of the road
Okay.
kind of team. I think the ball moves around a lot better. Because LeBron
I'm a
is
real
a
team
ball-dominated
Yeah.
player.
You said a real team, and I say to myself, 4 straight NBA Finals is a real team.
Yeah,
That's all I can
that's
say.
right.
But I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But I think when we had LeBron and greatest player ever, you know, he handled the ball probably 75, 80% of the time.
The time.
And
yeah.
so when you do that, and because of his greatness, you get players around him that instead of moving around, they're in awe
Stagnant.
of
In
what
awe.
he's
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, they're watching him.
Yeah,
as
they're
yeah.
watching him instead of playing.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, when you're playing with someone that great, you're kind of intimidated by his greatness. So,
True.
Exactly.
So I
You
think
can't play
that
your
will
game.
change.
Yeah, you can't play your game. Rodney Hood was a recipient of that where he didn't play his
Right.
game last year. What's your take this year?
I think a little less than middle of the road, but they're gonna surprise us with with wins because we got a good mix of veteran and young players.
I was listening for you to say that. Do you think that
Yeah.
they didn't do it? Usually they do a whole rebuild. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but
Are you glad
now-
that they didn't?
Well, I'm glad they didn't because now the coach he can actually coach.
Right.
Yeah.
He can put in his different plays and sets without one person holding the ball. Even though, like you say, he's a great player, he's gonna get you there. But to beat a great team with 3 superstars, you need a great team,
Right.
not a one person and a few good players.
Well,
So do you think
I'll
that the-
say this though. I'll say this.
That's a good point.
I think we have a big year out of
Love.
Chetty Osmond,
Chetty Osmond looked
Osmond's
good.
gonna
He
be
looked
good.
great, didn't he? Yeah.
and
he
I
looked
think the rookie
I
Sexton?
will
was
have
the
a great
same.
year,
Sexton?
Sexton. And I think you'll see Hood and Nance.
He's the
and-
second scoring
and,
option.
Clarkson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I still think we're a player away though.
Okay,
from
question.
From being real
Big
competitive.
physical
Yeah.
big that blocks shots.
Yeah.
Question
Yeah.
for both of you guys. One of the things that I think has been established in Cleveland with LeBron here and now gone is that we have a winning culture. It's not like starting at the bottom and coming back up. You have Tyronn Lue, that whole coaching staff are now NBA champions.
Yes.
You have J.R. Smith as an NBA champion. You got Tristan Thompson.
Tristan
You
Thompson,
got Kevin
he
Love.
even told him, he
You
said
said-
the road through the championship
come
still
through
comes
because
through me.
you're a champion, so you know what it takes. You feel me? So they didn't have that culture that they have now. So now you just plug in the pieces to keep that culture alive. Do you guys agree?
I do. I think you're right there. I mean, we'll see. We'll
We'll
see how
see.
it plays out.
All right, we only got 5 minutes left,
Oh, well,
and
you know, we're not going to go away without talking about my team.
and here we go. So Mike, let's go back to
Let's go back to Oakland.
Let's go to Oakland
and
and
the robbery that
We're
was
not
done.
going to have enough time for
all
that.
right, okay, well, you guys, listen,
Like,
you guys have the floor. All I'm going to say,
Listen.
I'll say names and you guys go from there.
I just want to make one quick comment.
Please do.
The referees that ref that game in Oakland is the best group of referees
I've heard that.
in the NFL.
And that's-
for them to make those kind of errors in
Reprehensible.
that game,
was,
it's ridiculous.
That was Stevie
And
Wonder and
that's the
Jose
best they
Feliciano
got,
calling that
then-
game.
Then
Right,
the NFL
that's-
is
we're
in
in
trouble.
trouble.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
even
doubt.
with those rules, you can't hit high, you can't hit low. I don't like that.
Didn't that look like a first down at the end? There's a yellow line.
That
He's
was-
laying completely over the
okay.
bar.
It didn't
Here's
look
the
like
thing,
it. It
can
was.
It was a first down.
Yeah.
Can I say something on that?
Absolutely.
That deal? When you are judging on the first down line, they called it
First
a
down.
first down.
Right.
On the field.
Okay, now, if you have visual evidence that is not, you can overturn it. But there, I don't care. You can have 1,000 people looking at that play.
And
You
you
do
don't
not have
have-
any clear visual evidence
Right.
To
that his
overturn it.
Arm. The head of the official tried to say, "Oh yeah, they made the right call." They
No.
were trying to be, but no, you can't call it a first down with no visual evidence. You overturn it. You
Right.
say, "Wait a minute, no, we're going to give this home team 2 more chances."
All the 0-3
And,
teams in the
yeah.
NFL won, by the way. All the 0-3
Yeah.
teams won.
Sure did.
Hey, so Duran and Mike, I got 2 words for you. We got a couple of minutes left. Baker Mayfield, how'd he play? Duran?
Baker played great to me. I mean, he had a whole bunch of drops.
He did have a lot of drops.
I mean, people were missing.
Lot of-
He threw he might have here and there threw one, but who even the great ones might miss a throw here and there.
He had
but-
drops. He had a lot
Yeah.
of drops. He made some rookie mistakes.
And one thing I noticed about his size, his height a little bit, they was kind of
They smacked a couple down.
on a few.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, does this make sense to you? Sometimes this is one thing Tyrod Taylor couldn't do. Sometimes you have to throw the ball to a receiver when he's not open. You got to hit that little window.
Well, he does
Right.
that good. I
Yeah,
think.
he
I think he
Baker
does a lot
Mayfield
of
can throw the
times.
He
ball
does.
50
He
yards
does.
downfield in a tight window.
Yeah.
And it's
like
right
that.
there. Yeah.
And
Well,
I
we
tell
got
you
the
what,
Ravens this week. Let's close out in prayer, y'all.
Absolutely, Mike. Take us home. Thanks for listening, you
God,
guys.
we just thank you for another week to be on the air. We thank you for all the things that you're doing for us. we'll continue to lift your name in praise, and as always, we give you all the glory, honor, praise, and thanks. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Listen, thanks everybody for listening. We've got issues. Thank my hosts, Mike Stitz and Duran Freeman. You guys have a great week. Remember to register to vote if you haven't, and listen to us.
And as always, come back next week and listen to
We've Got Issues, because you know we do. You have a great week, Cleveland. Be kind to each other.